Hello and welcome to my video. Today we will talk about critical review, and let's clarify what is review itself. The critical review basically tests two skills as a summary writing, paraphrasing, and evaluation, ability to think critically. So what is meant by what is the purpose of critical review? The critical review is a writing task that asks you to summarize and evaluate the text. It can be of a book, a chapter, or a journal article. Requires you to read the selected text in detail and also read other related texts so that you can present a fair and reasonable evaluation of the selected text. The critical review can be of a book, a chapter, letter to the editor, film, or journal article. Writing the critical review usually requires you to examine the material in detail and to also read other related literature so that you can present a fair and reasonable evaluation of the selected text. What is meant by critical? At university, to be critical does not mean to criticize in a negative manner. It requires you to question the information and opinions in a text and present your evaluation or judgment of the text. To do this well, you should attempt to understand the topic from different perspectives and in relation to the theories, approaches, and framework in your course. Make your stand clear at the beginning of your review in your evaluations of specific parts and in your concluding commentary. Your stand must go beyond your gut reaction to the work and base it on your knowledge, reading, lecture, experience of the topic. Remember that your goal should be to make a few key points about the material, not to discuss everything the author writes or the film presents. The review allows you to demonstrate your ability to do the following. So evaluate an argument in an article or the merit of a literary piece or film, justify reasons for a position, support a position with a source gathered from research, order ideas in an essay logically, communicate information clearly. So as I mentioned before, it's not meant to criticize in a negative manner, rather it requires you to question the information and opinions in the material and present your evaluation or judgment of the material. In order to do this properly, you should attempt to understand the topic from different perspectives. What is meant by evaluation and judgment? The strengths and weaknesses of the material. This is usually based on specific criteria. Evaluating requires an understanding of not just the content of the material, but also an understanding of the material's purpose, the intended audience, the issues it addresses, and why it is structured the way it is. Guidelines: be clear on your overall impression of the article, literary piece, or film. Ensure you support each of your assessment claims with evidence from the article, literary piece, film, and from other articles where appropriate. Write the review in mainly the present tense. Be sure to jot down notes on important parts of the article, literary piece, or film, and any thoughts that you may have while viewing the movie. Structure. Let's look to the structure of a critical review. So, according to introduction, firstly you should state the title of the film and its director, main actors, stars, or the name of the article and the authors. The title of the film or article must be in apostrophes. Write the background or context of the film or article. Background information includes information that will help future viewers or readers to better understand the film or article. Write a few lines on the subject that film or article addresses. You should ask yourself, why is the subject important? Or why is it worth writing about? This is where you should mention the theme of the movie, story, or the purpose of the article. State in very general terms your overall impression. Whatever you mention here, you will need to elaborate in the critic section. The second one is the summary. In other words, it's synopsis. So you are required to present a summary of the key points along with a limited number of examples. You can also briefly explain the author's purpose, intentions throughout the text, and you may briefly describe how the text is organized. The summary should only make about a third of the critical review. For a film, you should use plot words such as beginning, rising action, conflict, falling action, resolution, and so on. The third one is critique. So how you should write your critique. The critique requires one to evaluate the article, which means to discuss the strengths, usefulness, and weaknesses, limitations of the film or article. The critique is essentially your views, your criticism, and the critique is not a description of the movie. It's a description to make your critique. You should describe to make your critique. In this section, you should include references to other materials written about the film or article. And conclusion. In the conclusion part, you are required to discuss your final evaluation of the value of the film or article. Remember that you had mentioned this before in general terms in the introduction. This is where you will use all the fancy adjectives to praise or condemn the film or article. Comment on the feature of the subject that the film or article addresses or the implications raised. For example, if 7 Pounds deals with dealing with guilt and emotional torment, then comment on that issue and how relevant it is to contemporary society. If an article is about a writing center recommendations and a rationale for establishing a writing center, talk about how relevant the recommendations are to Guyana, for example. Close with recommendations for future viewers, stating why they should view, why they should read it or watch this very movie in your article. As for references, it should be in APA format. If you have used other sources in your review, you should also include a list of references at the end of the review. APA or MLA formats are the proper and best way to use them in your article. Thank you for your attention. I hope this video was interesting for you. See you in our next video.